We spent $45,989.66 over 14 days on Facebook ads promoting our 3-day e-commerce Facebook ads bootcamp. And we experienced some really eye-opening things through this experience, both good and bad. So what we kind of want to do, we want to honestly just pull back the curtains behind the scenes of the Ecommerce Alley, and something that we actually did, and be a little vulnerable here because we're not perfect. And we do a lot of teaching, and we have tons of people in our Facebook groups and listeners and like coaching clients. And a lot of times it's easy just to see the good. And what we want to do is talk about what happens when things don't go necessarily how you want them to go. And so this podcast is twofold. First fold is we want to talk about the structure, the process, how we run what we call promo sprints. So when you're working in short periods of time, how you plan them, structure them, and be hyper aggressive. I want you to think about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Don't get there without a plan. Same concept. How do you run these short periods of sprints from a planning, strategy, structure standpoint? And then we're going to talk about some wins and probably more than that, our fails. And so to do that, what I did was I brought on Dylan. And if you don't know Dylan, this is Dylan.
Hi.
Hey.
I've been on the podcast, I think, one other time.
Yeah. What did we do? What did we talk about?
I think it was our year podcast, and we talked about the podcast.
Well, that's a really boring episode. This is gonna,
I don't think it has very many views, so maybe
this is a redeeming moment because as soon as we talk about numbers, everyone's ears perk up. At least mine do. So I brought Dylan on because Dylan, while he does a lot of things in our company, and Dylan manages our paid media as well. Both YouTube stuff now and Facebook. That's our largest paid media source. So Dylan manages paid media buying. He also runs the production behind the scenes during these live events. So very in tune with how everything went. He tracks all the numbers on this. So I brought Dylan on, and we're going to talk through this. We are going to share numbers. So while I would like to say keep this between us, this is a public podcast. So really this is between us and the world, and you can share this with whoever you want.
I mean, actually do share this with whoever you want.
Yes.
Like, please share this with anybody.
Give Dylan's podcast another opportunity to get more downloads. The second one that he's on. So we're going to go through some things, but first I would like to start with just let's lay the land here so we have a scope of what exactly this is. Now, this entire promo sprint is based on our 3-day, it's a live event. So it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have evening sessions, we have Q&A, we have a bonus Q&A for Platinum Pass holders, and we have a front-end ticket, and it's a price you can't beat for the level and the quality of content you get. Yeah. I mean, it's all in the studio here. And Jake has a set, and I have a set, and we have like opening trailers, and we have quizzes, and we have fun.
We go all out.
We go all out on this thing. We have giveaways at the starts of sessions, giveaways in the ends of sessions. We have wheel spinners to draw names. Like, it's a ton of fun. So
it's not that Zoom webinar that you get for free or. It's absolutely nothing like that.
Nothing like it. I promise you, and this is just a plug for the next one we do, because we do these every 3 to 4 months. But this is a 3-day live event, and it is a cash injection for our business. We don't do them Dylan's like, hey, why don't we do this every single month? And I'm like, I don't have the energy in me to deliver these every month. It's a lot of work.
I don't see my wife for like 2 weeks when we're doing a boot camp. She's like, oh, it's boot camp season? All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
It takes so much planning.
We just live here for basically the whole week. Like we have food in the conference room and drinks and TVs in there. And anyway, our whole team lives in here. But it's a 3-day event where it's $27 for a ticket, for just a general ticket.
Yeah.
Once someone buys a ticket to this event, they get access to 2-hour sessions, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We teach what we call the ad lab method, which is rapid experimentation. We find what we call super ads. We take these and we start scaling them on Facebook ads. And this gives us proven variables through a scientific approach. So basically, 2-hour sessions every day. We have an evening session on Monday. We have a Q&A session on Tuesday. So you're talking like total 8 hours to 9 hours worth of collective training, high quality stuff. Yeah. Really good. Can't beat it, but we're a little biased.
And it's start to finish.
And it is start to finish.
We don't leave you at the end with like, okay, now go figure out the rest of it. It's like, you get the whole process all the way through.
Yes, and now this isn't like an entire encompassing thing on Facebook ads because there's so much to it.
Yeah.
But this is the super ad methodology or the ad lab methodology that we follow to find super ads. So it is start to finish. It is a complete product. We don't hold back on literally anything. So we bring 100% to the table. It's 3 days. We then have, so the funnel looks like this. $27 ticket on the front end. We do have an upsell opportunity to upgrade to a platinum pass, of which usually like 25 to 30% of people on the front end take us up on.
Yep.
But then we allow the ability to upgrade later. Now, upgrading is always worth it because what we see is, I mean, you have all the tools. You get tons of additional trainings. We offer tons of we give you other stuff for it. And the upsell is $95 at time of purchase. But if you don't take us up on it, hey, it was technically a one-time offer, and so now it's $105. We add $10 for the delay. And we have another 20% of people come back and buy those.
Yeah.
Once the event starts and they realize, holy crap, this is a really valuable upsell or a product, additional upgrade for the Platinum Pass,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go upgrade. Of which 45% of people take us up on.
Yeah.
At the end of the whole bootcamp, 45% of people take us up on this upsell. We've dialed it in. The first time we did this was like 32%. It was a lot lower. This is the fourth time. Is this the fourth time we've hosted?
It's the fourth time, but actually the first time we still had a 46% take rate.
Okay, yeah.
we've
Just smaller numbers, yeah.
It's been across the board.
So we have, so we've done this now. This is the fourth time. We'll do another one in 3 or 4 months. So that's the funnel. Really, really simple. And then, of course, on day 3, we then offer the ability for people to schedule calls to learn about our premium program where we go like 30 hours deep into all kinds of things, at Facebook ads and email marketing, how to tie it all together to go from 0 to $1 million as fast as possible. It's called the Max Profits Mentorship. We're not going to talk about that,
Yeah.
but ultimately we have a back end sell, and that's where we generate our profits, because on the front end it's not profitable.
We lose a lot of money.
We lose a lot of money on the front end, but it's just mathematical. We know that, and so that's what the funnel looks like. But when you get into these promo sprints, you need to be very intentional. Don't just get to Black Friday, Cyber Monday the week before and be like, oh, I'm gonna run a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal, and then just suddenly try to come up with something last minute. You need to be calculated. I promise you, every brand we work with that is serious, that is doing millions or tens of millions of dollars, they are calculated. They have campaign briefs. They are planning in advance. And so we've taken one out of their books,
Yeah.
and from 10 years of doing this, we do the same thing. So let's go ahead. I'll have you break down how we plan, because the biggest thing we had to plan, aside from the logistics of it, was we had Facebook ads, we had email, a little bit of social, not
Yeah.
really a whole lot. Social doesn't do a whole lot in our opinion. Facebook ads was the largest, email was the second, and so we had to plan out primarily ad spend, because when you're in a 14-day stretch, you cannot be just willy-nilly making decisions on the fly
No.
as far as what your budget's going to be if you want to acquire the numbers that you want to acquire.
Yeah, because we learned that last time, right? Because the last boot camp we ran was in January, and our goal was to spend $30,000 at that boot camp, and we spent $23,000.
Yeah.
And just because we weren't able to quite get to that scale. So I remember when we were driving to Tennessee, like we were going to start ads while we were in Tennessee. So we're driving to Tennessee. I'm like, hey, all right, let's plan out what our ad spend is going to look like. We knew that we had to get our ad spend to the max, which I think was $6,000 a day.
Well, our goal was to get to 40K total.
Yes.
40,000 in total spend.
Yeah.
That was our goal.
But we knew on top of that, based on like January's numbers, that we needed to be at our max spend threshold the Tuesday before, because that Tuesday through Sunday is where the most people buy tickets. So those were kind of the numbers, like the frame we were working within. So we just went and said, okay, what do we spend on day one? And obviously we wanted to ramp up, because we don't want to just start spending $6,000 a day to,
14 days out or 30.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too. So like when you're planning something where it's like an event that's happening in a certain period of time, in this case, we had to ramp up because we know that conversion starts to change the closer you get to the event. So you have to really strategically plan, like, what are you going to start at and what are you going to grow to? And then you also have to account for the fact that if you set a budget and you just try to like break it down over those exact amount of days, you might fall under that. Things happen. You kill things in the middle of the day, and then you have to launch new things, and it takes time to go through review, and you don't get the full spend in those days. So you have to allot for this additional buffer.
Yeah, so our buffer was Sunday. We said we're not spending anything on Sunday. At least
we're going to pretend.
We're assuming that we're not going to. So we have basically an extra $6,000 that we're going to spend on Sunday that we aren't planning on spending. So we actually ended up spending $6,000 over because of that buffer. So we did actually meet the goal and then also have that buffer. But we were also
in this case, Facebook decided to take our money. It's really strange. Usually they don't want to take your money.
Yeah,
but.
no, they took all of it plus some. But yeah, so we planned it out. And then the other thing that we have to do is because we're running this promo sprint in such a short amount of time, we need to figure out what ads to run with.
Yeah.
So we do like an abbreviated version of our audience lab where we send 4 ads in at first, and we spend the same amount of money to each of those ads over the first 3 or 4 days, and we see which gets the best acquisition cost, because we can't even operate on ROAS because our ROAS is like a 0.4 for the whole event.
Yeah, we would be crying in a corner if
our ROAS is awful.
So it has to be cost per acquisition.
Yeah, we operate on acquisition cost, and so we go in with 4 different ads. Was it 4 or 5? I don't remember.
I think it was 5 personally.
Was it 5? Okay.
I don't know. It's been a blur.
We went in with X amount of ads, and we found the 2-ish.
Yeah, the goal is to we have to, because if we're ramping up, we pretend that Sunday doesn't exist, so we try to actually hit our 40K budget by Saturday, so we have that additional buffer in case something happened, which things happened, and we're going to talk about the weekend before. It was a fiasco with Facebook. We'll talk about that,
which everyone probably experienced.
Most people probably experienced.
Yeah.
So we go in with as many ads as possible, and then we have to have it whittled down because we know that most conversions happen between Tuesday and Sunday, and so we have to be at max spend, which is $6K a day
with proven ads.
By Tuesday. Yep. So if we're launching that 14 days till, so we have that Monday before, it basically gives us 7 full days. No, 8 days. No, it is 8 days.
Yep.
It gives us 8 full days to validate all these audiences and validate the best ads in one short period of time. And we don't even, here's the thing. Most people think they need 1 million ads to spend $6,000 a day. They don't. We had 2. We had 2 ads. And most of it was going to 1 ad.
Yeah.
It makes me cringe.
You've probably seen it. It's that cardboard sign, Josh sitting on the steps of our office, holding a cardboard sign.
If you're on our email list or you bought a ticket, you probably saw it.
You've seen the ad.
Homeless Josh. Sure. People call me homeless on there. It's great.
Which it wasn't even the idea.
Yeah, it wasn't.
We were like, hey, we wrote this sign, and we were like, let's just take a bunch of pictures of the sign. And I'm like, okay, just sit here. Okay. There was no thought of you being homeless or anything. It was just like, sit here and hold this sign.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. They'll just find something to hate.
Yeah.
So we validate the audiences and the ads by Tuesday, and then we really start to scale. So what we did is we're like, okay, what are we gonna spend on Monday? 1,000. Tuesday, 1,000. Wednesday, 1,000. And then we jump to 2,000 because now we have 3 days of a little bit of optimization.
Yep.
We should know what ads we need to add $1,000 of budget to. Then we spend 2,000 for a few days. Then we jump to 3,000. And this is where it gets interesting. If you remember what happened when we were supposed to jump to 3,000, we did. On Saturday, we scheduled our $3,000 in ads to go live, and I think 11 or 12 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Oh well, so atrocious results that Saturday.
Yeah, it was really.
And
really
this is just like, hey, you know what? Things happen. Like just literal business fires happen that are out of your control, and you get to determine how you respond to these.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are really pissed off about it. I'm just like, it sucks. But
what are we going to do about it?
Yeah. So Saturday we go and it spends $3,000 on Saturday. Atrocious results. And we're like, this is strange.
Our CAC rose. CAC, cost per acquisition.
Cost per acquired customer. Yeah.
Yes, we went up $100 from Friday to Saturday. It stayed $100 high, and then on Sunday it went up another $100 to $300.
So we're literally like $200 cost per acquired customer over what it was on Friday.
Yeah.
So skyrockets, and we're like, we don't know what's going on Saturday, and
same ads, same audiences.
We're like, these are all
nothing changed.
We've run these a long time, and so by then we've already spent, I don't know how much, the $5-6 grand validating which ones were best. We moved into those, bumped it to 3,000, plummeted, atrocious results. Sunday morning, our entire budget spent before noon. like all of the budget for the day spent before, or like 2,500 of the 3,000 spent before noon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? And I'm in. It's hard too because like so. Fun fact about me. So I lead worship at our church.
Yeah.
And we have 2 services, and I try not to check my phone at church because it can get me in a bad headspace occasionally.
Like this did.
And of course, I check, and I didn't check Ads Manager because I don't have Ads Manager on my phone.
Yep.
Delete Ads Manager on your phone; it'll make your sanity a lot better. So didn't have that, but I'm part of a Facebook disruptors program, and we saw that Facebook had gone haywire, and everyone was saying, oh, they spent $20,000 before 7 a.m. this morning of my budget. They spent $6,000. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. And then I messaged Dylan, and I'm like, dude, how much did it spend? And Dylan's like, it spent most of our budget. And I'm like, what in the world? With like 2 purchases. So you're talking like $1,200 or $1,000, whatever it was, $1,000 to $1,250 cost for one $27 ticket. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it just come to find out that Facebook announced that morning at like 3 a.m. that, hey, we're having ad deliverability issues. This has gone down. It's all over the place. And then suddenly that day, here's the other thing. We started getting loads of comments on our ads. People saying, why is this ad showing to me? This isn't even relevant at all. And then tons of just crazy people.
Facebook was messed up.
Trolls for days, for a day on the ads. And it was boatloads of comments because we're running, we spent all that money. And the best part was Facebook didn't refund anything. And so now it makes sense. It was happening on Saturday. So we basically lost 2 days in this, which I try to think, oh man, at our cost per acquired customer, an extra $6,000 would have gone far for us. But that was brutal. So happens, can be frustrated about it. It was a little frustrating. Facebook doesn't really give a crap. But
they made their money either way. But
it is what it is. And I see this between 2 services of church. I'm about to go on stage a second time, and I'm just like, well, this is a great headspace to be in.
and we ended up shutting off all of that additional because we were spending 2. We jumped to 1. We added an extra 1,000 to get to 3. We shut off all that extra 1,000 because we're like, we don't want to spend more than we have to on non-optimized ads. So it really set us back from that predicted ad spend.
And then you have to go back into optimization too. And that's the thing that sucks too. Like when you're finally scaling and getting things optimized after multiple days, and it's like, oh, we got to step back. And that first day is always really expensive.
So we took the hit on what was already optimized up until that point because we just hoped that Facebook would continue working or, whatever.
Or refund us. That would be great.
That would have been cool too. But so we did that. And then the next day we did jump up to that 3,000. We were supposed to be at 3,000 for 2 days, but we ended up spending 2,500. Then we went to 3,000. Then we jumped straight from 3,000 to 5,000.
We had to make up for lost time there.
So then we spent 5,000 for a few days, and then our what we ended up spending most on for 2 days was $6,000 is what we ended up getting to on those last 2 days
to try to make up for some of that lost time and bad results.
So that is kind of how we planned it, because that was the most important thing, is that we needed to know how we were going to get to that spend threshold to get the results that we wanted. And obviously when you're spending $40,000 in 2 weeks, how do you structure that? Was even a question that we were asking ourselves, and like how can we make this work? So we have an audience lab process that we teach in the MPM, and we spent $23,000 in that audience lab. That's
in $25 ad sets.
Let's
just make that
$25 ad sets.
You know how many hundreds of ad sets we had in there by the time we started and killed? I mean, it's crazy.
And we're very, very calculated on how we are turning things off and optimizing, because we're optimizing way faster than we would even probably recommend to other people, because we've got X amount of time, X amount of budget, we got to make the most of it. So we spent $23,000 in our audience lab, validating the ads, validating the audiences, and then we scaled into the audience lab there.
I was going to say, and when we have proven assets, we can start to you can start to take audiences that are working, and we start to mash them together into these winning audience stacks that are, I don't know how many tens of millions. I mean, they're pretty big audiences.
Huge. I mean, like, as broad as like Shopify and DHgate and like
Alibaba.com,
huge audiences. It's like almost no targeting, but just enough targeting to hit the kind of people that we need to talk to.
Exactly.
So that's what we ended up finding, is through the audience lab process, we validated the best audience that we could run to was what we dubbed our winning audience stack, which was every audience that has ever worked for us in the past lumped together with an age range, with a location.
Yep.
That was what we ended up running most of our budget to.
As we kind of jumped in, it's interesting. Whenever we do these, what I love about promo sprints, and we always try to break new thresholds. I mean, last time we spent $23,000. This time we spent $46,000. So we're trying to break through these new thresholds as a business, which is scary. It is always scary when you're doing this. And in the back of my mind, there's that little voice that's tingling in the back of your mind saying like, hey, Josh, what if it doesn't work out? What if you're upside down $46,000? Or you always have this thing in the back of your mind, and you just have to punch it in the face and keep moving on and say, no, I got to trust the process. Marketing is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. And I have to live and follow what we say and what we philosophically believe.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy.
It's
not easy.
It's not easy, and I can't lie. I can't. Kelsey and I, my wife and I, we of course had some degree of conversation about, wow, $6,000 a day. January of 2022, we spent $3,500 in the whole month.
Yeah,
and now we're spending a lot more than that.
And for the first time, we kept our evergreen lead gen running. While we were running this promo sprint.
Usually
we've never done that before.
We usually pause all of our lead gen campaigns that are like bringing in and growing our list by like 20, 30, 40, 50 people a day.
Yeah.
And because we're like, oh, we need to focus on this. But this time we're like, let's not. Because that was another 500 or 600 a day that we were running on top of this. So we're like, let's try doing all of it.
And it added that extra level of almost scary to it.
Yeah.
But I think even with like predictable numbers and all of that, it can still be scary to move into that threshold. That's not even my money. It's you.
Dylan's that's a good thing though, because then Dylan's like, well, we have to be at this. We have to be this. And I'm like, maybe we should pull back here. Dylan, no, we got to be at this. We got to be at this. And in the back of his mind, he's like, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me.
It's not my money. I don't care.
Whenever we do this, we always try to validate new concepts as well and try different scaling strategies. So we tried some larger daily budgets in single CBO single ad set campaigns, and then we also tried some smaller budgets.
Bigger budgets.
Yeah.
Bigger, smaller budgets.
Yeah.
Of $250 a day. So we did two major differences that we tried after we validated in the audience lab, the ads and the audiences, because we needed that before we could move into like really scaling. And I was like, I don't want to manage, I don't know, whatever, $25 ad sets times whatever. That's a lot of ad sets.
6,000, that'd be however many ad sets.
It's a lot of ad sets.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't want to scale all of that with $25 ad sets, and we want to try new things. So we did the Scale Lab, which we did individual ad sets at $250 a day to proven audiences. And those did awful. And we don't know why. Like, our CAC was probably double what the audience lab was at like $400 a person.
Yeah. It would have been worth the additional time to have $25 ad sets instead of
it probably
10
would have.
$25 ad sets would have done better than one $250 ad set. We ran a lot of these $250 ad sets.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like one.
Yeah.
Like we ran a lot of these.
I think we ended up doing like 8 to 12 of those.
And they just overall bombed compared to the $25 ad sets.
And it's so weird. Like, we've done that before and it's worked. Like, we've done that $250 a day at the last boot camp and it worked. So it was just interesting that this time it just didn't work for us. And we don't really know why. But what we did find interesting is that we tried the CBO campaign. We ended up spending $1,250 a day in that. And that actually cut our CAC in half by doing that.
And one thing I just want to and some of these are observations. Hopefully this isn't just ranting, but it's interesting because like we try different things. So the $250 ad sets, we did campaign, but we did ad set budget levels still on those.
Yeah.
So we didn't even do its advantage budget optimization. We didn't do the budget on the campaign level.
Yes.
We did on the ad set level. And those $250 days bomb. But we know Facebook keeps pushing CBOs, and we try them every now and again. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So we're like, well, let's try the $1,250 campaign. Let's lump 5 of these together.
At this point, we're just throwing stuff at the wall. We're just hoping,
we need something that's not freaking $50, $25 ad sets. Like, that's just too much. Please, time's sake.
Yeah.
So we launched a $1,250 CBO, so budget on the campaign level, then one ad set, proven stack of audiences, and then we put the winning 2 ads or whatever in that, and killed it. So it makes me wonder, was it because we did what Facebook wants us to do and choose the CBO or do the ad
Yeah.
set. I don't know, because the $25 ad sets, they work great on the ad set. I guess you can't do, we wouldn't do campaign.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot. But that was very interesting to see that happen.
Yeah, and I think it did take some time for that to actually kick in. Like, we had to eat the $12.50 for at least a day and a half maybe before that really started optimizing. But it ended up working, cut our CAC in half. I think we ended up spending $4,000 to $5,000 in that CBO over that course of time. And I think next bootcamp probably lean into that a bit more if it ends up working for us that time. So that was kind of like
$5,000 CBO. That's
let's just go for it. Yeah, let's just
We're just gonna open out the gates.
one day 5,000. So that was kind of like a breakdown of the ads. I think one thing is like something that I think people need to understand for this. Our target CAC is $200, I think, is what we.
That was the goal.
Yeah, and that means if somebody buys a $27 ticket, we have to pay $200 for somebody to buy a $27 ticket. So we're eating about, $170
$170 on that,
because we know on the back end that we can make that up. So through this whole thing, our ROAS is like a 0.03. Like, it's awful.
It's really bad.
It's so bad. That's why we operate on the CAC. But I think that's really cool because that's how we operate this whole promo sprint is based on our acquisition costs, because we're not going off ROAS or profit yet. We're going off of the number of people that attend, because we know the numbers based on number of tickets sold. So that's kind of all the ad stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about like the email strategy and how we used email to get people?
Yeah, so ads are our primary revenue driver, new acquisition, right? But we also did have retargeting campaigns. Won't go to that.
Yeah.
The retargeting campaigns did good, other than the reach saturation one for us.
Yeah.
Didn't do as well.
I think we spent $2,000
on that.
retargeting.
Retargeting, yeah. So it was only 5%. We probably could have ramped it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just being real.
Yeah.
But we drove like 21,000 visitors, 300 and something tickets sold.
Yeah.
So like we ended up, it was really good.
We did hit our target CAC, which was really exciting.
Yes.
Like, we were on target for all of that.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And then the other angle is email. Leading up to something, we like to start to kind of like we just kind of like the hockey stick it. As you get closer to the event, you just pick up the cadence of the emails. We sent 12 emails over those 14 days. Most of them all came in the last 5 days. Mm-hmm. That's when we get really, really heavy in it. We sent 2 emails or 3 emails in that first week, and then we just really ramp up those last few days. Emails always do really well for us. They really help the blended cost per acquired customer, because ads, of course, are the tide that raises all boats. You run ads, your list grows, people buy from your list. It all ties together. So like blended cost per acquired customer, I forget what that was. It's like
147.40.
147. If we're under 200, we're happy. So we're in good shape there. That's what the email looked like. Now, we did do something new, and we're going to list off 3 big wins. We want to talk about primarily the 3 big fails. We had some really big fails, and I think it's good to share these. 3 big wins. One of the first big wins we did this time was we had paid ads. Facebook ads is our primary new customer acquisition. We had email as back end and continuing to get people to purchase. But then we added in an affiliate program. We have not done that before. Do you have any affiliate program stats?
Yeah. So it was really interesting. We only opened the affiliate program up to our Max Privacy Mentorship clients because we wanted to kind of beta test it a little bit to see how it goes. We actually acquired 31 ticket sales from affiliates.
Almost 10%. So like 8 to 10%, whatever it ends up shaking out to be.
9.94% to be exact.
Awesome.
But we acquired 31. And then for those affiliates, whoever we used First Promoter to do that, not sponsored, but if they wanted to, they could. We gave 100% of the ticket sale back to the person that referred it because it was a free customer to us. And then if that person then purchased at the end, they got a kickback for that as well. But it was really cool to acquire 10% of the bootcamp tickets for free from people that have gone through it before, that like want to refer people to us. It was just really cool. And that was, it was quite a process to get that set up and working, but I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, we went through 2 softwares, spent like 20 hours on one, and then we scrapped it in the last hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. So that was a really big win. Another big win that we had was, the second one was that our numbers are predictable. This is the 4th time around, and we have been able to continue to hone in on our conversion rates, hone in on our upsell take rates, make the upsell more enticing. I mean, heck, this time we rebranded everything. We added a whole lot to the upsell package.
Yeah.
We added a copy and creatives class. We added an audience deep dive session for all the platinum passers, so it made it more valuable.
Tons of new resources and
and we even added, like, we had someone in the Max Profits mentorship, Cliff, engineer, developed a whole like statistical probability for our spreadsheets that we log things, and like it's just wonderful. So it just made the fact that 1 in 2 people pretty much took us up on it means that it was really, really, really good. Yeah. I don't know anyone else who has a take rate like we do, but we obsess over this.
It's pretty good.
So everyone here, if you don't have upsells, you need to add upsells, you need to add bumps, you need to increase your AOV by doing it. If we did, we'd have $27 AOV, but instead our AOV was what, like $60, $70?
We made an extra $13,000
just by adding that in.
By adding that. If we wouldn't have had that, we would have only made $6,000 on ticket sales.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty crazy.
We actually 67% of Bootcamp revenue comes from platinum passes.
Crazy.
And like we were talking, predictable numbers. This is how we were able to do this and lose so much money on the front end and be somewhat okay with it. Because if I look back at January at our numbers, 61% of ticket revenue came from platinum pass. 67% came this time. If we look at platinum sold, 44 platinum sold last time, 40.96% of people took a platinum pass last time. 44.5% of people took a platinum pass this
4%
time.
4%-ish increase. All right, cool.
Yep. We know the percentage of people that are going to buy the platinum pass up front. We know the percentage of people that buy the platinum pass on the back end, and all of that stays consistent across the board. We know the percentage of people that are going to book a call.
The percentage of people that are going to close.
Yeah.
The average order value, the continued revenue,
all of that. Because that's how we know if we spend X, we'll make Y.
If you're listening to this podcast right now or watching it and you don't know your numbers, you have to know your numbers.
Yeah.
If you want to be a serious business and you want to predictably, keyword, predictably grow and scale, you have to understand these. You have to understand your break even. You have to understand the most you could pay to acquire a customer. You have to know your profit margins. You have to know your cost of goods sold. You need to know all of those things. If you don't and you're listening to this, go do that tomorrow. Go do that today. Like, treat your business like it needs to be treated in order to go to that next level. If you don't know those, you will not have confidence to go to the next level. It is essential. It is a requirement to make that happen because you won't have that confidence. And marketing is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. And if we don't have the math, then we can't mathematically make decisions.
Yep.
It's all going to be based on our gut. The amount of times I have good and I love these moments where we have what we call scorecards. We have weekly and monthly scorecards inside the Max Profits mentorship where you keep track of certain metrics week over week, month over month. And I love it when people post like, oh my goodness, I thought I found myself in this cycle of like complaining about my sales last week, but then I compared them to the week before and then in a month before same time, and I'm up 242%. Like, yeah. Like if you look at the math and you trust if you would have been making emotional decisions that day, you'd be shutting things off. But if you're making mathematical decisions, then it kind of helps you guide. It guides you without having that emotion involved. It often can put us in a bad spot. Speaking of numbers, real fast, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, when are they going to get to the juicy details of all of these numbers? We're saving that for the end, so you have to stay around. We're gonna share our profit on this. We're gonna share revenue on ticket sales. We're gonna share revenue on back-end sales. We're gonna share what
our big fails.
Our big fails. We're about to get to that. We're gonna share the numbers at the very end after the big fails on all of this, just so you can all understand what this actually looked like for us and how it all kind of tied together. So big one number 1, affiliate program rollout this time. Big one number 2, predictable numbers, 4th time through, just further validated it, gives us more confidence next time.
And we take these numbers very seriously too, because I'm the one that kind of builds these spreadsheets. I have a chart for the overview, for ticket sales, for Platinum Pass sales, for calls booked, and then I have a day-over-day chart, so I know how many tickets we sold each day. I know the Platinum Pass take rate each day, the conversion rate, the Facebook CAC, the blended CAC, the average order value each day, the MER, the ROAS, all that stuff day over day. So when we go to do this next time, we can predictably say our conversion rate goes up here, our CAC goes down. This
on these days.
Yes, we
on
know
these days,
because we do it 2 weeks. A 2-week promo sprint every time. So and that's how we made the decisions for this one based on the last one. And I have a chart that I keep track of during and after the boot camp, how many viewers we have, how many comments we get, how many members were in the group, how many Platinum Passes we sold during the boot camp.
Yeah.
So all of these numbers are tracked, so we know how things happen during the boot camp.
Yeah.
Speaking of during the boot camp, I think our last big win was we really improved the experience for people this time around. So this isn't really numbers based, but it's just kind of cool how we've done this boot camp now 4 times, and each time it just gets better and better. We added a copy and creatives class, which people loved.
People struggle with that, so we just listen. We're like, hey, a lot of people struggle with copy and creatives. We're going to show you how to do it. And we got into ChatGPT, so that was also a ton of fun.
And we had, I think, like 75 people come to that from there, and then tons of people watching after. We added Tuesday a Q&A, because Tuesday is like our really in-depth day where we're diving into
Super
Ads Manager.
technical, yeah.
We know people are going to have questions because it's very technical, so we have a whole dedicated Q&A for those people to come and ask questions. We added, like you said, Cliff's spreadsheet, all that kind of stuff. And then for the Platinum Pass people, we added an audience deep dive, which was really cool because on Wednesday, the 3rd day, everyone's like, how do I learn about audiences? How do I learn about the Audience Lab? All of that kind of stuff. It's so much to dive into. Even on that Thursday call, you didn't get to everything. But we were like, hey, for Platinum Pass people, we're going to offer a Zoom session private with you to deep dive on audiences. And I think people love that. And I think that was really cool that we really honed it in, added all of that to the boot camp, and just improved that experience across the board. It was really cool.
Yeah, Jake has his own little set now over here. It's a cute little set. So Jacob has a set. I have a set.
I got kicked out of the boot camp this time.
Dylan got kicked out. Dylan's always been like the co-host, and now we have Jacob doing the co-host. Ton of fun. Those are some really big wins.
Now the fun part.
Now the fun.
Now we're gonna get really vulnerable.
The painful PTSD.
The part that Josh and I sat here before we started filming, we were like, should we share these?
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we are. I think it's gonna be good.
So biggest fail.
Yeah.
The biggest fail in all of this, pricing on the back end.
Yep. For our coaching.
For our program.
Yep.
So this is one of we have the boot camp is one of 2 evergreen product funnels. We call them EPFs. It's an entry point for new customer acquisition. This is an evergreen. This is more like, so this is like a PF. It's just a product funnel.
I mean,
it's a funnel that we're bringing people
It's a predictable product funnel. It's a PPF.
PPF, there we go. Yeah. Predictable product funnel. We just do them a couple times a year. Our other EPFs are like lead gen based. So as we have grown, we have made our program. I don't want to toot our own horn, but it is the absolute best program you can find if you're an e-commerce business owner doing between 0 and $1 million. This is not for the 5, 10, $50 million e-commerce brands. We get to work with them. We love them. Their challenges look way different than when you're doing $5,000 a month, or you're doing 10, or you're doing 30,000 or 50,000 a month. Your challenges look different. And so we have in the Max Profits Mentorship 30 hours of training material. We have our own app for it. Yeah. We have a community in there, which is unbelievable with priorities and accountability. We have coaching sessions. We have that you access within the app. We have monthly community events. Actually, today we're doing one. It's the pool party. Pool party themed monthly community event. Everyone streams it. It's really, really cool. Yeah. So our program, we just upgraded it the month before we did this event.
Yeah.
So all over the shoulder in the studio, high productions, animations, resources, everything you could ever need to really win. And so when we make these shifts in improving our product, well, we improve our price. We increase our price. And so we increased our price a lot from a pretty good amount from the previous time that we did.
We added a lot of value, and just really polished the program.
Yes.
So we increased the price.
Rightfully so. Yep. Makes a whole lot of sense. Yep. There's a lot more included. We added guest experts. We had all these things. So we increased the price.
How did that go, Josh?
So Jacob took most of the Jacob is the one who does most of the calls, and then
Yeah.
I took about a dozen, and we had 50 something calls scheduled. 57, I don't know what it was.
55.
55 calls.
Yep.
So 55 people, so about 20-ish%
Yep.
of the attendees scheduled calls with us.
Which is predictable.
Which
That's
is
what happened
predictable.
last time.
We know that, right? So our pricing, we changed. And we end the bootcamp on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I go in, I tell everyone, the whole way through, by the way, there is no, like, this is the full product in and of itself. You don't need anything else to complete this. I don't hold anything back. And I tell everybody every day, hey, on day 3, I am going to talk about our program. If you're interested to go deeper, just hang on to day 3. We're really honest. We're not like this, like marketing, like, kind of people. Like, we're just, no, we're just going to talk about what we do. If you're interested, book a call. And 55 people schedule calls.
Yeah.
And they schedule calls, and then on Wednesday, every hour on the hour, basically as soon as the event is done, starting on Wednesday afternoon, Jacob is primarily in calls, and I'm in calls, not as much as him, but back to back, like every hour on the hour. A lot of calls. These are hour-long calls, right? So you're talking 55 hours of calls that are booked that week and then through part of next week.
Yeah.
And so every hour on the hour, basically Jacob and I are in calls, mostly him. And we get through Wednesday. Nobody closed. Nobody joined the program.
Which is not predictable.
That is not predictable.
Yeah.
We get to Thursday. We go through Thursday. Nobody joined on the calls.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. People joined.
Yeah.
But they didn't join on the call. That was
Which
the
is what
strange,
normally
very
happens.
strange. I have an 80%, and some of you watching this right now, you maybe were on a call with me, and you're like, oh, now Josh is like talking through this. So it's kind of interesting. We were debating sharing this.
Yeah.
But we increased our price dramatically. And I have 80-ish% close. Like if I talk to someone, unless I don't feel they're a good fit, which is like 20%, I close and I bring in, and those people join the program. There's no manipulative tactics or anything.
They're not hard pushes at all.
No, we don't push hard. We're just like, hey, this is what it is. Here's how we would apply it to you, and I believe this is genuinely good for you.
Yeah.
We have integrity, and that's one of our core values. So I'm not going to recommend it if I don't believe you should be in here. And so I have at an 80%, and then we get through 21 or 22 calls in the first 2 days. I'm like, how did nobody, I think one person did. I forget the number. One person on the call. Now, people came back later.
Yes.
But like on the call, and it was very strange. And I'm like, okay, something is off here. What did we shift this time?
Yeah.
The big thing we shifted was the price.
Yeah.
Our price went up dramatically. And we're at a, we took our whole team, our Chris, our creative director from Canada, he comes down and we all go out. We have our spouses.
It was supposed to be a fun, yay, the boot camp's over, celebration dinner.
Celebratory dinner on Thursday night.
Our wives all go to one side of the table. We're all on the other side of the table. All right, we're like,
all right. Yeah, we're like, hey,
what's wrong?
Wives, we love you, but we got to talk. And so we're all huddled around the other side of the table, and we're talking through, okay, what are the big trends here? And the only thing we brought it down to was this was the best boot camp. We had substantially more. We had spent almost 2 times the amount on ads than we spent before. We had a lot more. We had like almost 100 more attendees at this one than last time. So like all the numbers were larger, but on the back end, the numbers were all lower. And it was very strange. So clearly the price was the outlier. And we started thinking, we started talking about it. We're like, well, what's the challenge with the price? There's so much value here.
Yeah.
And we came to the conclusion that I don't want to say we reached it or that we peaked at it or whatever it was, but we have found the elasticity of price within the ideal customer for our program. Our program is built from 0 to 1 million as efficiently and as fast as possible based on 10 years of experience and thousands of clients and customers who have come to worked with us, we've coached, bought our programs, etc. We have learned the best way to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Is the best way and the fastest way to do it. And so we know that. But when you're between 0 and 1 million, the price point that we had shifted to was substantially higher than we had done before.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we're like, well, we just have to have less people and we'll still make the same or more. And we realized that we had to like step back and say, okay, let's pretend we are those 22 people on the call. We're an e-commerce brand. We're doing 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K, whatever that is a month. Yep. Let's look at the price of our program and say, is this doable for me? And we came to the conclusion, in good conscience, in that first 3, 6, 12 months, it wasn't.
Yeah.
We learned that if we were in their shoes, that would have been a big investment for them. and they would have, I would have had to go, like go pull out like a credit card or something to max that out to pay. I didn't want people to do that at all.
Yeah.
And so what we did on Thursday night, we had to adapt, and by that
2
point,
hours.
So over a 2-hour span of conversation and planning, we decided to shift back to our previous pricing model, shift some things around, and say, you know what, we're okay with getting less but helping more people.
Yeah.
Because we want to. It's yes, we're gonna make money. We're gonna be a successful business in the long run because we understand good fundamentals and we practice these and we grind day in and day out, even through the bad situations like this that aren't panning out.
Yeah.
And when you're $46,000 in debt,
Basically.
because we throw it on a credit card and then
Yeah.
obviously we cash flow this before it even comes out. So when you spend $46,000 on ads, you have to make sure that you're going to close that loop on it. And so we have to look at it, and I'm like, that's the pressure. But then the other reality is we realize that what we want to charge for the type of customer we want to help in this program, it was just too high.
Yeah.
We've reached the elasticity, the elasticity had reached its peak of as elastic as it could be, and we were beyond that.
Yeah.
And so we shifted back and we said, well, we're going to go back to legacy pricing on, we're going to shift, legacy, don't call it, legacy pricing is what we kind of internally somewhat called it, but we just went back to our previous pricing.
Yeah.
And we, and the interesting thing was, so starting Friday calls and beyond, we shifted our pricing model. And as soon as we did that, people started coming through.
Yeah.
People started joining on the call. We were back in business.
Yep.
And so we had to shift some things around. But here's the thing. The interesting thing was, those calls we had Wednesday and Thursday, they didn't just fall off.
Yeah.
In fact, most of them came back.
Yeah.
After maybe it was because it was a bigger decision that they didn't make the decision on the call.
Because that's what we expect
most
from
of them,
every other boot camp.
Yes, and most of them actually came back to us and they said, hey, we're ready to move forward.
Yeah.
But we had shifted our pricing. So we had one of two decisions. We can say, all right, and just take them at this substantially higher pricing,
Yeah.
which we knew, putting ourselves in their shoes, and not that it wouldn't work out, because our program, I had messages this morning of people like, oh my gosh, my ads are off the charts and I just launched the audience stuff. So I know that our program is worth that.
Yeah.
But putting ourselves in their shoes, like at this moment in time in their business, it could put a financial strain on them.
Yeah.
And so that night we decided, well, what do we do with everybody that if people come back tomorrow, they want to proceed? And we made the conscious decision to say, surprise, we're actually not going to charge you this amount that's like literally like some of them were like 2 times higher.
Basically.
We're going to let you in at our legacy pricing. They came with the understanding that they were about to pay a lot more.
Yep.
And when they came back, we could have done that and made a lot more money, but we just, and so our profits would have been even greater, our ROAS would have been greater at the end of the day, but we decided internally, putting ourselves in their shoes, saying, we would rather charge them less, so where they say, this program was off the charts, and they become advocates for life.
Yeah.
And so all of those people, I think like 8 people came back from those calls, 8 or 9 people came back and said, hey, we're ready to move forward. And so what we did was we actually said, hey, that's awesome. We scheduled their one-on-ones to get them in, and we said, oh, by the way, it's not going to be 2 times as much as you thought it was. It's half of that. And people were just like, wait, what? it's half of that?
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to tell them that we had the meeting on Thursday. And some of you may be listening to this are like, wait, now it's all making sense. But we didn't want to say it was too much. That's too much to explain. So we're like, we wanted to see who was the most bought into this, and you're bought in, so we're cutting it in half. And so not necessarily in half exactly, but it was like that. We're going to let you in on this pricing model. And so we decided to do that. And I personally feel that we're going to reap the benefits of it in the long run. We do have, one thing that's ongoing with us after a certain amount of time is coaching. If you want continued coaching after the initial period, then you do have to pay a little bit ongoing every month. It's not a whole lot. It's a couple $100 a month. You just have ongoing access to all of that, which is worth its weight in gold. And if you want, or if you don't need it, you're good. But you still have lifetime access to all the course. So we do have that recurring, and I feel that we did the right move. We could have made a lot more on the front end, but just there's that deep inside of me, I'm like, I want them to feel greater wins and say that this program was worth 2 times more than I paid, or 10 times more than I paid for it, and feel that a lot faster without the short-term financial strain. I want them to feel less of that so they feel those wins a lot faster. And they can put that money into ad spend, honestly. And then it helps them grow a lot quicker, and then we look like heroes.
So we got 2 other big fails here that we want to talk about, and then we'll talk about the revenue and all that kind of stuff on members.
Thanks for bringing me back on track.
You're good. Anytime. So we already talked about this one, so this will be real fast. Another big fail. Facebook decided to blow $25,000 before
$2,500.
Sorry, yes, $2,500 before 11 a.m. on Sunday. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were all bad. So that was another big fail. Not really on us, but just something we had to adapt, learn, and
luckily they haven't refunded us, and they really don't care. So.
Fortunately, yeah.
Thank you, Facebook.
And the last thing, day 3, your close, like how you kind of talk about the program and say this is what we do, is great, but it was a little long.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
It's intense.
Yeah, it's, I think...
Passionate.
What did that's really the word.
One word for it.
What did it end up being? I think we went like 30 minutes over the additional
2 hours.
The 2 hours.
And it got real long, yeah. We wouldn't do that again.
And all the calls that we were on, like, everyone was like, hey, that was too long.
Yeah.
And they're like,
it was good.
I was just waiting to know how to book a call so I could get on the call. I was already bought in. Like, I don't need to know the rest of it. So that's another thing on day 3. We're going to cut that back. Because we just learned from that fail. Yeah. So those are our big 3 fails, our big 3 wins. Would you like to recap those?
Yeah, so big wins, affiliate program rollout. Consider it if you've done something and it's pretty predictable and you have a good customer base that loves your stuff and is willing to do it. We further validated our predictable numbers. Yep. We improved the 3-day experience. Big fails, pricing was hands down the largest one. And when we talk about our final numbers and profits, you're going to see it be reflected within there. Yeah. Facebook blew our budget. That's not really on us. It wasn't really a fail. It was just a bad experience. It just sucked. It blew and that was just on one day. We still had a bad Friday, Saturday, and Sunday leading up. So I think the issue was clearly before that, and they just decided to post about it on Sunday. And then I went way too long on day 3. I got really passionate, and I'm looking deep into the eyes of the audience and the camera, and we have music playing behind me, and it's like a motivational speech essentially. But went too long. It was not planned. It was supposed to end in the 2 hours, but it went over by the time we did Q&A and all that good stuff.
I mean, Josh isn't long-winded by any means.
No, that's why Dylan doesn't have to bring me back on pace.
Yeah.
Back on track.
All right, so let's talk about what everyone probably is very interested about, what our final numbers ended up being for this boot camp. So we spent, on ad spend, like we've said, $45,989.66. From the boot camp as a whole, from our $27 tickets, and we also had some $10 like early bird tickets, we sold $6,625 in ticket sales. That's just the $27 and the $10 ticket sales. And then from the Platinum Pass, which was that 44.55% take rate, we made $13,695, which brings the total of bootcamp revenue to $20,320. Do the math. We spent $45,000 on ads. We made $20,000 on the bootcamp, which brings our total ROAS to a 0.44.
You can see why we were all shaking in our boots Thursday night.
Yeah, because we're like, we gotta make up this gap.
Yeah.
So, how did we make up the gap? We had those 55 calls. We ended up making 90.
Well, real quick, we talk about revenue in 2 forms.
Yes.
Sold and collected.
Yes.
Break that down.
Yeah. So sold, because our program has kind of like a recurring, we don't ask for all of it up front. We kind of break it up.
They have the option to pay some things up front, but they can also cash flow things a little bit.
Yep. So we have to kind of look at it in 2 buckets of collected and sold. Sold is the total.
Contracted.
When they pay all of it. And then the collected is what we got on basically the day. So we ended up selling 91,220. That's contracted. That's what we know will come in over a few days. And then collected, what we collected up front over the first month or so is 87,286. Now, those numbers are great, shiny, whatever, but the gross numbers don't really matter all that much because we have expenditures. And
let's actually look at this. So let's think in terms of ROAS. That's like a 2.
Yeah.
That's like a 2. How many here are like, I want a higher than a 2 ROAS, right? We all want a higher than a 2 ROAS. And with what we do, we will often, over the span of the first 3 to 6 months, whatever, we know that we can push into the 3-4 range if we're really, really doing well.
Yep.
But we were below a 2 within that. And that doesn't include sales commissions. It doesn't include affiliate commissions. It doesn't include the
time
iPad, the many hours of time spent in preparation internally, all the food that we have at our. It doesn't include
our
the
Uniontown
iPad, the
trip.
AirPods. It doesn't include that brewery trip that night on Thursday.
That
the
paid for itself probably, but
thousands of giveaways.
Yeah. So and that's kind of the next thing. We'll talk about profit. Out of all of that, when we break that down, our profit collected was $33,000. So we put $46,000 in and brought $33,000 back in profit, and that includes commission and ad spend and all that kind of stuff. And then we sold 37 because we collected most of it up front this time based on our new pricing model. And then, like Josh said, we have kind of that recurring for the coaching. And this is where it gets kind of interesting because we've never really predicted the recurring revenue that we would bring in from that. So we did.
I was going to add real fast on the profit end of things. That's over 2 months.
Yes.
That's over the first. We calculated this within a 60-day period of time. And here's why. Let's talk about OPM. Some of you maybe you know what this is, maybe you don't. If you're in real estate, you're familiar with OPM. Other people's money. We have a Spark Business Cash Plus card, 2% cash back on everything. So we made about $1,000 just in cash back during this event, which is great, right? So we love to put, and what that does is that then pretty much gives us about 45 days to close this. And so if we have people coming in, we have immediate collected in month 1, but then we have month 2, and this is May 1st, so I know that on June 1st, the next thing we'll process. Well, our credit card is on the 10th of the month.
Yeah.
So we look in a 2-month period of time, how much we're going to collect, because that is all going to come in before the credit card comes out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we don't have a cash position in our business, by the way. We just always use a credit card. So we always think in terms of cash flowing this. And so in the first month, we actually only collected 48.
Yeah. Plus the 20,000.
Plus the 20, So we actually collected 68 minus, but we had 40 minus the 46 minus some of the additional costs within that. So the total profit between the 2 months is $33,000 in profit just between those.
Almost
those first
broke
2 months.
even basically on the first month.
By time we with commissions and all that stuff. So month 1 was not very. If you look at the ROAS on that, it was technically probably like a 1.1.
It wasn't great.
1.2. But it's when the trail starts to come in month 2 and beyond is where it starts to make sense. Some of you listening to this right now, you could probably relate. You know, if you're a subscription box, month 1 you're probably gonna make the least. Month 3, 2, 4, 6. That's where you start to make that. So mathematical numbers are going to help you make mathematical decisions in your marketing.
There's a trend here.
There's a trend.
So we had to predict what we think we can recoup on that recurring on the back end from that coaching. So kind of how we did it, we assumed a 20% churn rate on day 1. 20% of people are not going to continue that coaching. Which in 6 months, minus 20% of people produces about $19,000 if we're looking at that churn rate. And then after 6 months, let's assume another 20% of people drop off. This is magic numbers. We have no data that we're basing this off. This is just predicted.
Yeah.
If 20% of people drop off from the initial 20% of people dropped off, the next 6 months after the first 6 months will produce 15,000. So if we have the 19,000 plus the 15,000 plus the 91,000 in sold revenue, our predicted 12-month revenue comes to 126,620. Which you want to talk about what that looks like?
Which then increases our predicted monthly or our predicted 12-month profit. From this is profit from this event being $71,407.
Yeah, predicted.
Yeah, and that's not even guaranteed.
So and that's kind of where it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out.
and I want to say this. Some of you might be listening to this and saying like that's awesome. Like I want to be doing that. And it's like, hey, yes, and you will. You got to keep pushing. We've been doing this for too long. But like ultimately, we have to compare it to what we've done before. And you might hear this as a win, like 30-some thousand in profit in 2 months. And yes, that is a win. I'm not complaining.
It's not.
We're blessed and fortunate to do what we do and to have to be in this position. But we've been doing this for a long time. We've been grinding at this. I have to compare it to where we are at as a business in this level.
Yeah.
And last time, let's look at some real quick numbers last time.
Yeah.
So this time, you're talking sold revenue, 91,000. This is contracted revenue.
Yep.
Last time, we spent $23,000 less, and we had $153,000 in sold. And we collected $84,000 on the front end.
Yeah.
So total profit from the last time we did this boot camp with $23,000 less in spend.
Yeah.
Total profit on that, and this wasn't over a 12-month period of time. This was actually realized profit within 6 months.
Yeah.
With some payment plans in there.
Yeah.
It was $129,800. So the last boot camp, we spent $23,000 less, and we had basically $130,000 in profit that was on track to be collected within 6 months.
Yeah.
So you're talking like $23,000 converting into that. That's like literally almost a 6x return on ad spend, that was the best we'd ever done.
Yeah.
This time we spent $23,000 more, and our predicted 12-month revenue, this is not even like 12 guaranteed, is 120. It's 3,000 less than that. That's over 12 months.
And we spent 20,000 more.
We spent literally 2 times the amount.
Yeah.
2 times the amount for less results. The sold revenue was almost 20,000 less, and we spent 2 times as much. I would have expected to be 2 times more. So these are, we share all of this because we feel it's important to show that, like, we live, we breathe this. We've done this for a long time. We coach and consult people, and we do this for people, and we're always on the front end talking about wins and all these things and sharing that, but this is the reality. Things don't always go how you want it. Sometimes you change the pricing of a product. Sometimes you change something in an ad and it bombs. Sometimes Facebook just optimization goes to freaking crap and spends $5,000 or whatever it was in those 2 days, because I'm counting Saturday as a loss too for cost per acquired customer there, and then Sunday. So like, it's all part of the journey, and you have to embrace it and say, we're moving forward. We learned a lot in this. And on top of that, here's the best part. This is for right now. But what this doesn't account for is that we have over 300 new customers in our system. They got our emails that might be listening to this or watching this right now, that attend our live streams that we're about to do in the next 25 minutes, that get our emails and they join our stuff, and we will probably add at least 10 to 15% of those into our program in the next year, because we have good stuff. We continue to deliver, and we continue to invest in our marketing. And so we know that this is a long-term play. And just for last year, so everyone knows, our average throughout a 12-month period of time, we have an expensive tracking tool called Hyros. Way more than it should cost. Too expensive for what it is, in my opinion. But anyway, we have Hyros, and Hyros is an attribution tool just like Triple Whale and just like Northbeam and some of those out there. And last year we made $4.23 for every $1 we spent on Facebook advertising. We didn't realize it all up front. Some months we were at 1.8, some months we were at 1.2. But over the 12-month period of time, we produced $4.23 for every dollar we put in 12 months of 2022. So when we put in $50,000, and we know mathematically that ads are a tide that raises all boats. People are going to trickle in from email. They're going to come from organic. We added 300 or 400 organic followers to my accounts in Instagram and Facebook just in that 2-week period of time. Over time, we know this is going to cash flow because, again, marketing is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. So thanks for hanging out.
That was fun.
Yeah, if you guys like this, share this video with someone else. And also drop a review on the podcast if you enjoyed this. Drop us a comment if you're on YouTube. Just let us know you're watching this. And if you want to see more stuff like this, if you want to see a peek behind the curtains of maybe not only our stuff, but we could also do a peek behind the scenes of other campaigns we're running and share some of those, let us know. We don't do this 2-person in the studio thing too frequently, but we are happy to. And so thank you for listening. If you're not part of the Ecommerce Alley Facebook group, go to alleypodcast.com/group. It'll redirect you there. There's about 4,000-ish almost of us in that group. We go live in the studio every single Thursday, reviewing websites, doing trainings. We're doing the $1 Million Marketing Blueprint training today that actually outlines what you should be doing. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.